Hey there, thank you so much for checking out Mission Church Online. Our hope is that this message would help you in your journey to find and follow Christ. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our videos. And if you're near Bloomingdale, Illinois, we would love to meet you right here at 82 Stratford Drive. We've got services on Saturday at 5:30 and on Sunday at 8:30, 10, and 11:30. But for today, let's dive into this message.
One of my favorite movies of all time. It's a 1986 classic. It shows the story of the boys from Hickory, Indiana, this tiny little town in Indiana, when they shocked the entire state of Indiana, winning the high school state title in basketball. How many of you have seen the movie Hoosiers before? Yeah, it's an incredible movie. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. It is an incredible story where you see these boys from this no-name, tiny little town of Hickory do an incredible thing, an impossible thing. They win the state title in the great state of Indiana. And as you watch that story, you're drawn into it in so many different ways. The question is, how did they do it? Were they more gifted than all the other teams? And of course, the answer is no. Were they taller or bigger? Did they have more size than all the other teams? Of course, the answer is no to that. How did they do it? How did they rise above the rest? How did they accomplish the seemingly impossible? And the answer to that is something called team. Everyone say team with me. Team. This is what we're talking about right now. Imagine if you were to view your family as a team, and what you see in that movie Hoosiers is team. Teamwork makes the dream work. Certainly true in that story. And one of the things that they did as a team is when they'd call a timeout, they'd go over to the sideline, and the coach, Gene Hackman, stars as the coach. He would gather them around. They would kind of get back on the same page. Would talk about the next plays that they're about to run. And then all their hands would go in the middle, and they'd break their huddle. Someone would say 1, 2, 3, and they'd break their huddle by saying team. Of all the different things they could say, that's what they said every single time. 1, 2, 3, team. And it reminded them that we are not this disconnected group of individuals. No, we are one unified team. This is God's vision for your family. This is God's vision for your key relationships, that you would operate as a unified team. And so what I'm wondering today is if you'd put your hands in the middle with me, and on the count of 3, say it with me really loud, 1, 2, 3, team. That every day when we open our eyes, we would see our family as a team. This is God's vision for your family. And it's amazing what that guiding metaphor of team can do for our primary relationships. Last week, I shared with you this acronym of teams that we're going to kind of slowly work through. And so last week I began with this: trust is foundational. If you were with us last week, this was really the bottom line of the talk. Trust is foundational. Say that with me. Trust is, it's foundational. If you missed it, you can watch it online. But trust is foundational. If you want to build anything, you got to build it on the foundation of trust. I shared with you last week that when you study the greatest teams, and I love to do this, I love to read about teams, I study teams, I observe teams, that when you look at the greatest teams, you will find something called tension. Now, I want you to think about tension, not like eggshelly tension or like a tug-of-war kind of tension. I want you to think about tension within teams like a suspension bridge. And so if you've ever driven your family over a suspension bridge, you're really glad that it has tension. That's actually what makes it strong. The same is true for teams. What makes teams strong is healthy, dynamic, helpful tension. Last week, I shared with you the first tension within the greatest teams. Letter T stands for this tension, where trust is given, and at the same time, trust is earned. Trust is given, and at the same time, trust is earned. Which one is it? Both. It is both, and this is really the picture of this kind of first tension. The second kind of tension that we're going to talk about today starts with letter E, and this stands for environment. If you're taking notes, maybe like this or maybe like this with your thumbs today, I want to encourage you to jot that down into your notes. Write down environment in some big font. This is what we're talking about today. We're talking about environment. Everyone say environment. Environment is so important. When you look at the best teams, notice the environment that they have. Now, I would go as far to say is that environment is everything. Trust is foundational and environment is everything. Environment is everything. If I see you out in the lobby after service, I just want you to say that to me. Hey, John, environment is everything. If I see you at the gym this week, just say it to me, John, environment is everything. This is what I want you to remember. Environment, say it with me, it is everything. It is so important. It is so powerful because it is so pervasive. environment is. It reminds me of this short, cute little story about some fish swimming in the ocean. This older, more mature fish is swimming, and he comes up to some younger fish, and I got the little cartoon to kind of draw your attention to it. And the older fish says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two younger fish respond back with, "What the heck is water?" And that is a great, silly little metaphor. Just remember this, because it's speaking to just how pervasive environment is. It's so powerful, and it's so pervasive, it's like water in the ocean. And when it comes to your family, this is what your environment is. It's everywhere. The environment is the water that your family is swimming in. It's so powerful. It is everything. The words you speak, the spaces you create, what you take in, what you keep out. This is your family's environment. When was the last time you did an audit on the environment of your home? When was the last time with great eyes and wisdom and discernment you said, "God, can you help us really discern what is the environment of our marriage? What is the environment of our home? What is the environment of my key relationships? Is this a helpful kind of environment?" Environment is everything. This is why James Clear says it this way: environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. I'm a big fan of James Clear. His writings, I think, are outstanding, and he talks about that invisible hand. What a great word picture that is. That this invisible hand, you can't see it, but make no mistake, there is an invisible hand shaping your home. It's the environment. This is why oftentimes negative people come from negative environments. Fearful people come from fearful environments. Entitled people oftentimes come from entitled environments. It begs the question, can you overcome your environment? I mean, it's everything. It's so powerful. It's pervasive. Can you overcome it? Can you overcome a toxic environment? The good news is the answer is yes, you actually can. In fact, there's a number of you in the room today. If I were to ask you to raise your hand, you are an overcomer. Now, you have overcome an unhelpful or a really unhealthy environment of your home. My dad, he overcame the environment that he was raised in. He is a chain breaker, my dad is. He's 80 years old, and he's a chain breaker. He started something brand new. And this is what a number of you have the opportunity to do this morning, is for you to decide with God's help and with some good teaching that you can apply this, that you can literally change the environment of your home. Maybe you didn't grow up with a healthy environment. Well, it can become that starting today. Yes, you can overcome your environment, but think about how amazing it would be if you didn't have to. Some of you are engaged right now. Some of you would like to get married. Some of you are thinking about your key relationships. Some of you are in high school. Some of you are single or single again. Some of you are grandparents, right? Family looks like a lot of different things in this room. But imagine if you didn't have to spend that much time and energy. Imagine if you didn't have to spend so much time and energy trying to overcome an unhelpful or unhealthy environment. Imagine instead if you had a dynamic kind of environment in your home. An environment of faith and love and strength and optimism and service. And what if that was the air in your home? The environment of your family, that it would have this environment of resilience. We go the extra mile. We don't pull up short. We do hard things. The environment of gratitude. Man, we are grateful for everything that we have. Are you into gratitude? I am. We are. Man, what an incredible thing to put into the water of your home. Gratitude. Or that of discipline. Man, it is serious how we take this life that God has given to us. There's no dress rehearsal here. We don't get mulligans here. We're not going to do this one more time. No, we get one shot at this thing called life. And so with great discipline and stewardship, this is the kind of environment that we're going to have. And so here's what I know. The question isn't, do you have an environment in your home? You do. Every single family, every single team, no matter where that team might be, corporate space, home space, every team has an environment. The question is, what is that environment shaping you into? That's really the question. Because that environment is shaping you, the question is, what is it shaping us into? You can think about it this way. What is the environment of my family? And is it shaping us to live and love like Jesus? Take a screenshot of that question. I'd love for you to even process that question around the dinner table tonight or this week. What is the environment of my family? And is it shaping us? Is it really helping us live and love like Jesus? Because the environment of your home is shaping you. But what is it shaping us into? Environment is everything. In the book Spiritual Parenting, some of you love when I offer up resources. Others of you are like, John, like you think I have all this free time. You offer a new book every single week, and I'm still reading that last one from February. As we build a bookshelf over time, this book, Spiritual Parenting, listen to what the author writes here. She says this. This is really good news. Some of you are ready to give an amen. Here it is. Here's your opportunity. Spiritual parenting is not perfect parenting. Oh, doesn't that feel good? Let me just read that again. There's someone that needs to hear that twice. Spiritual parenting is not perfect parenting. Oh, amen, right? Deep breath, deep sigh. This is good news. We serve a perfect God who can fill in the gaps. It's parenting, however, from a spiritual perspective with eternity in mind. It's a way of parenting that declares, I want to parent the child or children that God gave me in such a way that I first honor God, and then second, create, say with me, the best what? Yeah, the best environment to put my children in the path of the divine. I love the way she writes that we would think about our environment, that we would study it, that we would look at it, that we would discern it, that we'd ask the question, is our environment placing our children in the path of the divine? So important. Environment, yes, I believe, is everything. It's the invisible hand that is shaping our homes. And so I want to talk about the tension that we need within environment. And so let me draw your attention to where we're going today. The tension needed for your team, your family to rise. The tension needed for all of us today is this, that we would have an environment of care and an environment of challenge. If you're taking notes, make sure that you get this down. This is our tension bridge today, all right? That you'd have this environment of what? Of care and of challenge. That kind of suspension bridge, tension bridge will build something strong and powerful. Where the air in our homes or the water of our homes, they have both care and challenge. So important. And I want you to pay attention as I kind of work through this. When it comes to this tension of care and challenge, which one do you kind of more naturally lean towards? Now, all these challenges of teams that I go through in the coming weeks, you'll kind of notice that, you know what, that one I kind of lean towards a more natural leaning. Maybe when I say care, you're just more nurturing. The caring thing comes a little bit easier to you. Well, perhaps you really need to work on the challenge component. Or the opposite is true. Like, you're the challenger, right? Like, you're the closer. Like, honey, let me know. Like, ninth inning, you call me, I'll have the hard conversation. You're the challenger. Well, how's the care coming? It's not either or, it's both and. And here's what I know. When you guys have experienced like one and not both, that doesn't really help, does it? It doesn't really get us where we need to go. And so we have to have both care and challenge. Let's talk first about care, an environment of care. Care is not a soft thing. It's a strong thing. It's a powerful thing. To have the environment in our homes where every person in our home and every person that might enter our home will experience something, and they may have different language for it, but that they would experience this depth of care where they know that they matter to God and they matter to us. That our kids and that spouses and that grandparents, anyone that comes around the table, anyone that steps foot in this home, neighbors, anybody, that they will know that they're not just a number to us, no. They're a human being made in the image of God. In our homes, can you imagine if they had this kind of care? I want you to think right now about the corporate teams that you resigned from. Those teams that you worked for in the corporate space that after a month or two, like the honeymoon stage kind of wore off, that's when you immediately started to put your resume back online. Why was that? Just pay attention to this. Do a little audit on unhealthy, toxic teams you used to work for. Why did you want to leave those teams? It's because you were made to feel like a number. People didn't remember your name. They didn't even want to know your name. They never asked how you were doing, or if they did, they didn't really mean it. You were just a means to their corporate end. You were a cog in the wheel. And guess what? You leave those teams. How about your team as a family? What's the level of care like around your kitchen table? Do people feel cared for? Do they feel seen? When someone pulls into the driveway and comes in from working all day, do they feel welcomed? Are they glad that you're there? We need an environment of care. Ephesians 4 says it this way, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other. I find it so helpful to read the New Testament, all of God's Word, but definitely the New Testament. We get so many handles for how we can build and create this environment of care. Galatians 5:22 says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Think about all those additives into the water of our home. Man, that is a powerful list right there, the fruit of the Spirit. Ephesians 5 says this, each what? Yep, guys don't even want to participate right now. Here we go. I'm coming after you. Each man must love his wife as he loves himself. Okay, so I'll go first. I'm a man, and that's my wife, Kelly. And I've never needed a sermon ever in my life to encourage me to love myself more. Now, some of you might need that sermon. That's very possible. I'm just telling you, I've never needed that sermon. I've got hobbies. My hobbies have hobbies. I think about what John wants to do and how much John wants to do it. Now you can see why we've had a lot of counseling in the course of our last 18 years of marriage. I think about my hobbies and the things that I'm into. Just this morning, for example, I was researching some new bike lights for triathlon stuff and doing the research on it, and I love it. And I've got hobbies, and my hobbies have hobbies. I love thinking about what John needs. But what does the Word of God say? Each man must love his wife as he loves himself. Maybe your hobby isn't triathlon, probably isn't, but it's fantasy football, and the amount of time and energy you spend on that. Maybe it's your yard, you're a yardie. You're like, oh, John, you should see the edging. It will draw you close to Jesus. If you could just see my front lawn, John, it's amazing, truly. As much research as I do for my hobbies, I should do that much more to learn how to love her. And so this is what it says. Each man must love his wife as he loves himself. Man, that's an environment of care. Ladies, you're not off the hook. Now let me offend you. And yeah, so we're just all going to be offended here. And the wife must, like 10 of you were willing to say that. I could have bolded it, but I didn't because I knew you wouldn't like that. Just left that one unbolded. Must respect her husband. You don't know my husband, some of you are thinking. Hey, ladies, let me just let you on a little secret. He may never say this to you, so let me say this to you for him. Love for him oftentimes will feel like respect. And I'm not talking, don't get weird with this, but respecting him, that's what love feels like for most men, I can just tell you. Now, guys, here's a thought. What if we make it easy for our wives to respect us? What if we go out of our ways, and I just think this week, I'm going to make it so easy for Kelly to respect me by how I follow through, by how I serve her and the girls, by what I do for our family. We shouldn't make it hard for them. We should actually make it easy for them to respect us. Man, this is an environment of care. Think about this. Galatians 6, fathers, I know next weekend is Father's Day weekend. Or is it Father's Day week? Are we doing a whole week this year? So it's Father's Month. And so let me read this to the fathers. It's just an idea. I don't know, I'm an idea guy, just throwing it out there. June is Father's Month. So here we go. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. Do not exasperate them to the point of resentment with demands that are trivial or unreasonable or humiliating. I'm learning that as I father teenage girls. Like, there's just a lot of things, especially if friends are around. I think it's funny, but it's not. Just don't say it. I don't want to embarrass my girls. I take this really serious. The things I say or not say, right? Says to not be abusive in any way, shape, or form. Nor by showing favoritism. Some of you have more than one child. My parents had 3 boys. This was very hard for them. I think I'm their favorite, but it made it very. My brother was just up here leading worship a few moments ago. No, maybe he's their favorite, but this is just important that we don't create this we love them more than the other in this weird hierarchy thing. No, level ground here in this family. Not by showing favoritism or indifference to any of them. But bring them up tenderly with loving kindness. Men, if you're strong, bravado, all right, be strong this way with tender, loving kindness. You want to fight for your family? Fight that way. with tender, loving kindness. Your words weigh 1,000,000 pounds, dads. So we got to choose them carefully and bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So how have Kelly and I done this environment of care thing over the years? So we've been married 18 years. We have a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old. We are not perfect parents, but we work hard on it. And so just as Kelly and I talked about this message, thankfully she helps me with these messages, especially when I'm preaching on parenting and family. We were just kind of thinking through a number of things that have really helped. One thing is meals together as a family. To get around the dinner table, and this is hard, I get it. I understand what year it is. A lot of you too, both husband and wife are working, and it's hard. Kids' sports, a lot of family dinners these days is in the minivan on the way to the next sporting event. I get it. But what if it was just one? Let's just start with one family dinner a week around the table. I grew up in a home where it was every night. Like we didn't go out to dinner, maybe once a year. And we sat around the dinner table. I think it's one of the reasons my family and extended family are still so close. It's because all that time together around the dinner table. Well, Kelly and I, we've been doing this now for a number of years where we have dinner together as a family. And we've been asking a very simple question around the table is highs and lows. Hey, girls, what was your high today? What was your low today? Highs and lows, okay? Easy. Anybody can do it. If you want to spice it up a little bit, you can call them happy crappies. Those work too. It's fine. Pretty much the same thing. And ask that question and then listen with your eyes. Kids know when you're actually listening. Leave the phone in another room, and sometimes that's really hard for me. I got things going on as well. Remove the phone and ask those questions. What was your high today? What was your low today? And we like to add in anything you're grateful for. Something that really happens when you're sitting around the table is you feel seen. You feel like you're part of a team because you are. This is something that you can do as families. I would encourage you to do this. Some of you are single or in college, and you're like, yeah, I'm at school a lot. Well, you can do this with your friends. Get around the table with your friends. Ask these questions. It's a powerful thing that you can do to really move forward that environment of care. Words, I've already mentioned words, but I want to talk just a second more about that. I've learned about the power of the written word, and I learned that through Camp Paradise. There's a number of dads that are going up to Camp Paradise this summer. I want to encourage you, dads, if you have kids between the age of 8 and 12, you can still sign up for Camp Paradise this summer. It's 4 days, and it can truly make a significant deposit in the relationship between you and your child. I went every single year, but I learned about the power of words because at camp, you write a handwritten note to your daughter or son every single day at camp. And I learned about how powerful that was. They look forward to reading those words. My girls are older now, and so I now can text message them. And I think about that. Just yesterday, there was something that I really wanted to move forward from a care standpoint with one of my daughters. And so I sat down and I long form texted her a message because I want her to see it in print so that she can read it over and over and over again, that she would know that I care for her. And so this is what we can do as dads, as moms. We can do this as grandparents, as siblings. We can use our words. Something in addition to that is we do monthly dates where it's one-on-one time. And we only have 2 kids, so it's easier for us. Some of you have a lot more than 2 kids, so this will be a little bit more challenging. But I started this when my daughters were really little. We'd go on donut dates to Dunkin' Donuts. They'd get a donut and some milk, perhaps. It was very cheap. Now they're teenagers, and it's not cool to go to Dunkin' Donuts. We go to Starbucks, and it's very expensive. And so I'm taking out a second mortgage to keep this going. And so we do this once a month. We sit down at Starbucks. And I just got to tell you, we do it once a month, and there's some months where it's amazing. And I'm so pumped about it. Kelly, the conversation was incredible. Some months are just okay. It's all right. But it's the power of consistency. Kelly's doing a similar thing with them. I've just learned, and we are learning from a care standpoint, the power of a one-on-one with our kids is powerful. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be at Starbucks. It can be a walk around the neighborhood, whatever it might be. One more, bedtime. The bedtime routine is something that's really helpful and really powerful. Kelly has been a master of this. When they were little, it was stories, and now as they're older, it's in their room at night as they share a lot of things with mom so that dad can be asleep by 8:30. Dad's working on that. And so environment of care, and at the same time, an environment of challenge. Everyone say challenge. All right, and so some of you are like, all right, yeah, this is my part. All right, you're excited about the challenge part because you're the challenger. Oh, yeah, you know who you are. And so let me just kind of delicately challenge you a little bit about this challenge thing. Just because you're good with volume doesn't necessarily mean you're good at challenging. okay? I had coaches that challenged me so much with volume and all kinds of intimidation, but it actually didn't help. I felt afraid. I tightened up. I didn't play well. And so don't think volume and intimidation. Ask the question, is your challenging actually helping? That's a good thing to kind of notice, and we got to talk about challenge. For those of you that really specialize in care isn't enough. You also need challenge. You need both, and you're going to need God's help to learn how to challenge. We have to challenge as well. How do we do this well? How do we challenge well? A lot of different ways, but I want to share with you a tool that can really help you challenge well within the home, and that tool is called feedback. Feedback. Everyone say feedback. Some of you don't want to say feedback. This reminds you of a difficult HR meeting last month when you got some feedback that you weren't asking for. Feedback is so helpful. Feedback is a great tool of how you can challenge well. When you offer feedback and seek feedback. When you offer feedback and seek feedback. One more time. When you offer feedback and seek feedback. The best families, the best teams, they're offering feedback, but they're also filled with teammates who seek feedback. And this is challenging for me. This is something that we talk about, that I would grow and continue to grow in seeking it out, not waiting for Kelly to just give me feedback. But man, wouldn't it be amazing, don't respond to this right now, Kelly, but wouldn't it be amazing if John would grow to the level of seeking it out, say, hey, maybe there's something in my calendar once a month to remind me, Kelly, would you offer me some feedback? And so we got to think about feedback. We got to embrace feedback if you want to grow. Feedback is so important. You use it in the corporate space, but why not in the home space? We've got people, this is their entire job in the corporate space. Some of you lead all kinds of things, and yet your best leadership is staying at work. Oh, I just step on somebody's toes? Our best leadership is staying at the office. We need to bring it home. We're not clocking out when we walk in the door. And man, I'm preaching to myself. This is so important for us to enter the home saying, now is when I'm going to continue to lead. And feedback is one of those ways. It's so helpful. It brings healthy and helpful challenge. So feedback, it's something that many resist. I want to help you kind of reframe feedback a little bit. And so I want to reframe it in a few ways. The first way is this: feedback is a mirror. If you're taking notes, write that down. Feedback is a mirror. Say that with me. Feedback is a mirror. I love to get my hair cut. I do. I've got a great barber. Been going to him for a while, praying that I can lead him to Jesus one day. Been inviting him to church for many years. Hasn't come yet. That's all right. I love him. He's great at what he does. And so I get excited about getting my hair cut, sit in the chair. And after he's done fading me up, this is called a fade. Don't know if you know this. It's called a fade. After he's done fading me up, he does this thing where he grabs a mirror and he walks around behind me and he holds up that mirror so I can look in that mirror and this mirror. And he says, what do you think? I'm like, oh, it looks so good. And what he's doing in that moment with the mirror is he's revealing my blind spots. Have you heard of blind spots, church? Show of hands, how many of you have a blind spot? Okay, the rest of you are deceived. You just are. We all have blind spots. If you have a pulse, you have a blind spot. This doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you a human being. And what feedback is, it's like the barber walking around behind you from someone that cares enough to also challenge you enough to say, hey, you probably don't see this because it's a blind spot. This is what feedback is. It's a mirror. Proverbs 27 says this: wounds from a friend can be trusted. So when a friend loves you enough to give you feedback, at first pass, it feels like a wound, because feedback sometimes is hurtful, but it's helpful. So wounds from a friend can be trusted. They're giving you feedback because they love you. They're not out to get you. They're out to grow you. They're out to help you get better. And so feedback is a mirror. Ephesians 4 says we will speak the truth in love. So important as you're offering feedback and you're learning how to challenge, don't forget the care component as well. We're going to offer this feedback from a place of love. Think about it this way: feedback without love is harsh. Feedback without truth is hollow. And so this is a really important thing for our families and for our key relationships. Hold up a mirror. Feedback is a mirror. Feedback is also a whetstone. It's a whetstone. I know you didn't know it was spelled that way. Some of you really want to say it out loud, so let's just say it out loud, right? It is a how do we do it? It's fun. It's a whetstone. So it's a whetstone. What is a whetstone? This is what a whetstone is. You know what a whetstone is. This is how you keep the knives in your drawers sharp, right? So you're sharpening that blade. I hunt, so I have a hunting knife. Sharpen it with a whetstone. Our fishing trip every year, I sharpen the fillet knife so I can fillet those fish for us. That was for you, Tommy. And so that whetstone is so important. How many of you would like to stay sharp? Anybody? This is one of the mantras for our staff. This is how we lead our staff. Stay sharp, stay sharp, stay sharp. And they know what that means. We want to stay sharp. Well, the only way you can stay sharp, you got to have some grit. And this is what feedback is. It's like a whetstone. Proverbs 27, as iron sharpens iron. Have you heard of this verse before? A lot of times it's like the classic verse for men's groups. Hey, in this men's group, we sharpen each other, bro. As iron sharpens iron. Why isn't that also like the theme verse for families? Because your kids and your wife know you a lot better than your buddies that you meet with for an hour once a month. Just saying. So what if we had this kind of feedback in our homes, and it's like this whetstone to make us not dull, sharp. As iron sharpens iron, you need this kind of grit, this kind of friction to make sure that the edge of your life is sharp and stays sharp. I want to be sharp in every area of my life. And so I got to have feedback. It's like a mirror. It's like a whetstone. And thirdly, it's like a compass. You know, if you're into orienteering at all, that a compass is so important to find your true north. And yet, as you're making your way through the woods, you can get just 2 degrees off. And if you're 2 degrees off, you're going to miss the mark by miles. And so we need feedback, don't we? We need to give it and ask for it. We can take lead on this and say to our trusted friends or our spouse or our kids, hey, what is life like with dad around? Give me some feedback. What don't I see? I may be 2 degrees off or 5 degrees off, and I want to miss the mark. I need your feedback in order to be true north. We need feedback. Feedback is like a compass. Hebrews 10, verse 24 says, let us spur one another on. We can practice feedback. I pray that we would in our families and our marriages, with your grandkids, with your nephews and nieces, with your teammates, with your missional community, with folks at Mission Church. Let's just get into feedback. If you want to challenge well, this is one of the ways we can challenge well. And feedback, I got to tell you, this is one of the things that literally changed my life. Feedback from a family member. That family member is my brother Justin, the one that was up here leading worship a minute ago. I was a college student at Illinois State, worshiping the false god known of as baseball. And I played for Illinois State, and my life was off the rails in every way. And I'll never forget when my brother Justin drove down to Illinois State to have a meeting with me. And he met with me, and he said, John, you know I love you. I've loved you your whole life. You know that. And I was like, yeah, I do know that. He said, and you know that God has placed me in your life to just not hold back, and I've got to give you some feedback. And he went on to give me really hard feedback for me to hear. He went on to explain to me that I was completely wasting my life. I was blowing it. I was wasting my influence. I wasn't leading any of my teammates to Jesus. The opposite was true. I was leading them away from Jesus. And he said, John, God's gifted you. He's called you to be a leader, and you're leading all these people in the wrong direction. What would happen if you'd actually do this God's way? I remember being defensive, because a lot of times I can be defensive. I remember feeling hurt because it felt hurtful. And he got in his car and he drove back home here to DuPage County. It was amazing what God did. God took that love, that care and challenge. It became a seed of truth in my spirit that God would water. In the coming weeks and months, all of a sudden that seed of truth began to sprout out. It led to life change for me. Feedback. Do you love them? Offer it. Do you love them? Seek it out. Family as a team, this is so important that we would have this kind of environment of care and challenge. I want to finish by reading to you a passage from John chapter 8. In the moments and in the days where you're not sure how to do family, may we look to the New Testament to see and study the one who did it better than any of us ever will. His name is Jesus. No one did relationships as well as him. It says the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in front of the crowd. Teacher, they said to Jesus, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say? They were trying to trap him into saying something they could use against him, but Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, all right, let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. Verse 8, then he stooped down again. I want you to notice this phrase, stoop down. It's one of my favorite phrases in all of the Bible that reveals the heart of God for you. A lot of you in this room, you have misconceptions about who God is because you've been hurt by a lot of people that claim to follow God. This is God. This woman caught in the act of adultery, God in the flesh, Jesus Christ, he doesn't stand at a distance to condemn. What does he do? What's the phrase? Say with me, stooped down. This is Jesus in this moment, caring. He stoops down on her level. Do you see this? Do you feel this? Imagine that moment. The only one who is perfect, Jesus Christ, the one without sin, the one who's building in that moment the greatest team of all time, the church. He stoops down to deliver care, shocking care, amazing care. Gets down on her level, eye to eye. He writes in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left. Just her and Jesus. Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you? She says, no, Lord. And Jesus said, neither do I. What care? Oh my goodness. But I want you to notice the challenge as well. He finishes by saying this, go and sin no more. Do you see the care and the challenge represented perfectly in the person of Jesus? This is how he did family. This is how he does family. Might we follow suit? If our prayer team would come forward at this time, they are willing and ready and able to pray with you and for you as they're making their way down. There's so many ways to apply this. One of the timely applications is something called the marriage course. The marriage course is 7 sessions that will happen in 3 weeks. It's going to be online completely, so no matter where you live, no matter what work might look like or travel, you can do the marriage course. If you're engaged or married, this will be a great course for you. You can stop by Guest Central to get more information on the marriage course. It's going to kick off here in the month of July, but this would be a great way that you could apply, those of you that are engaged or married, you could apply the message that you heard today. Invest in your key relationships. Another way that we can apply this is to receive prayer. Why not? Man, I need so much prayer. We need so much prayer for our relationships, for our marriages, and so receive prayer today. If you'd stand up to your feet, let me close this now. God, we thank you for this teaching series, and we thank you for the guiding metaphor of a team for our family. And God, I thank you for what can happen when your hand becomes that invisible hand shaping our homes. May it be the very hand of God that shapes the environment of our homes and families and key relationships. Because when that happens, an environment of care and challenge will be created. God, I pray that you would bring right now inspiration, conviction, and hope for every person in this room. We have agency over these things. You've given us ability and influence to move these things forward. I pray for unity between husbands and wives right now, that they be unified on this teaching, that they be on the same page, in step, equally yoked on the kind of team that they're building. And so God, bring unity right now in the marriages of Mission Church. Bring unity right now in the families of Mission Church. extended families. And God, we thank you for your example. Jesus, thank you for how you show us what this looks like. We love you. And all God's people agreed and said, amen. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks so much for checking out that message from Mission Church Online. We hope that it helped you in your journey in finding and following Christ. We hope to see you here real soon.